Donnie Miller, connecting our community with information about issues and opportunities.
Hey, good Sunday morning and welcome to Bridges. It is so good to have you here again. As you know, if you've been paying attention, and you should be paying attention, we are moving very quickly into an election season, which means that we've got all kinds of people asking for our attention and all kinds of folks asking for our money. Lots of levies on the ballot this year. We won't be talking about many of those levies on the show this year, but I do think it's important that you hear about this particular levy. We're talking this morning to Julie Malkin, who's the PIO for the Lucas County. Now, see, Dean always makes, he always corrects me on this name because I always get it wrong. Lucas County Children's Services.
That's
see,
correct.
when I was growing up, it was Lucas County Services Board.
That's the group of people who actually oversees the operation of our agency.
All right, I should know that.
Yeah.
I should know that. So you guys are back on the ballot again.
We will be on the ballot with issue 7 in November. We will be asking the voters of Lucas County to renew our existing 1.4 mil operating levy and then add a little bit to that, 0.35 mils, so a little more than a third of a mil more. What's happened is that we have a revenue problem. We don't have a spending problem, we have a revenue problem. The levies, everybody can remember that we had the property tax revaluation back in 2013, and everybody's property value went down, and I know your taxes went down as a result of that. But that's meant we're bringing in less money to care for kids. And you know, caring for children in these days and times is a very expensive proposition. Kids have more intense needs, and you know, we're mandated by law to address them. We can't have a waiting list. And also the federal government has made some significant changes in how it funds us. There's different formulas that we use to get reimbursed for services we provide to kids and families, and that formula has changed. So that means we are bringing in a couple $1 million less each year from the federal government. When you add to that the fact that Ohio is 50th in the nation in terms of child welfare funding, and even if we doubled our spending, we'd still be 50th. When you add all of those things together, with more intense needs that kids have and the demand for services, we're just not bringing in the amount of money we need to stay fiscally responsible and healthy.
Yeah, I think, you know, I'm going to ask you a tough question.
Sure.
I think that there are many people watching us this morning who are saying, you know, I'm trying to be fiscally responsible at home as well, and I just don't have any more money to support a levy, and there are several levies on the ballot this year, and is it really my responsibility as someone who lives in this community to support levies like yours?
It absolutely is. You know, these are the children who sit next to you in church. These are children who go to school with your children, who live next door to you, might be related to you. Child abuse happens all over Lucas County. In fact, in 2014, we had 4,500 referrals for service that involved more than 6,500 kids.
Can we refresh people's memory as to
Sure.
what you actually do there?
Sure. We are the county agency that is mandated by state law to respond to allegations of child abuse and neglect. So if you think a child is being physically abused, emotionally abused, sexually abused, we are mandated by law to investigate, and if we find that that child is being maltreated, to provide services to the child, protect the child, and also provide services to the family to maybe eliminate what risk the child might take. If the family isn't successfully able to eliminate that risk, you know, protect the child, we provide foster care services or support relatives who might step in and care for a child. And if ultimately the child cannot ever go safely home, to provide adoption services, we'll secure a new adoptive home for that child. And we are very proud of the fact that our agency just received an adoption award on the federal level, because we had more adoptions than any other county in Ohio, even when you measure us against Hamilton, Summit, Montgomery, larger counties. We are very successful at doing that.
Is your organization facing any of the challenges that we are seeing becoming so apparent in this community? The focus on the heroin issue, for example, is that somehow rolling over into
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. We have hit points in the past 18 months because of the heroin epidemic where we've actually run out of foster homes for babies.
Really?
We have so many infants that have been born drug exposed. We've had to secure...
Are those children automatically taken from parents?
If there isn't another parent who is able to protect the child and adequately care for a child, and remember, many of these babies born heroin addicted have special needs.
Yes.
You know, they often have to be weaned off of drugs. This isn't always the case, but many of them are. And so we need foster homes for those infants. If we don't have homes available in our own network, we've had to borrow foster homes from private networks. That is very significant for us because it costs us 3 times as much to borrow a foster home from a private network as it does for us to care for that child in our own network.
Now, borrowing is exactly what it sounds like? All right.
Yeah, it is exactly what it sounds like. There are private foster care networks out there which do wonderful work.
Yeah.
But they pay their staff to oversee those homes as opposed to our caseworkers.
Right.
So when you add in the administrative costs, it ends up costing us 3 times as much. So we are always looking for foster homes. The other thing that the heroin epidemic has meant is that there are simply more children who need care because we have parents so badly drug addicted that they're not able to care for kids. And that means, you know, our foster homes again are taxed. We have relatives who need support in caring for kids, and you know, that costs money. That definitely costs money. We haven't been able to raise the rate to our foster parents, our per diem rates, since 2005 because of our financial situation.
Yeah. You also have, as I read my notes here, you also have positions that you've not filled.
Absolutely, absolutely. We've got about 50 positions that we've left vacant through attrition, folks retiring, moving on to other positions. A couple of them are at the management level. So essentially our executive director has been doing the job of 3 people. And he's announced his plans to retire in about a year and a half. And so, you know, we are going through a time of transition, and it's more important than ever that we get our agency fiscally stable, that we get our finances in order, that we have adequate funding to meet the needs of caring for kids in Lucas County. And that's why, more important than ever, Issue 7, we need voters to support it.
Julie, it sounds like what you're saying to folks is that you understand that this is a tax, but that the agency has done everything and is planning to do many more things to get to make sure that you are an efficient and effective
Absolutely. We've done many things to try to be more fiscally responsible and to contract our spending. You know, we've cut $6 million out of our budget in the last 5, 6, 7 years. Many of those positions have remained vacant, those 50 positions. We're doing what we can with technology to become more efficient, you know, giving caseworkers mobile technology so they can do their case notes right into the computer system in the field and not have to travel back and forth, which makes them more efficient with their time. We're taking all kinds of steps, but we're really getting to a point where we're cutting into bone. If there were fewer caseworkers on the streets, and that's potentially what could happen, that means that kids might not be seen as often. Caseworkers might not be as intimately involved in these children's lives as they need to be. One of the things that Lucas County has really prided itself on, we know where our kids are. We know our kids are safe. We know our children's names. We take care of our foster parents. We don't hear the kinds of disasters that you hear in other states where, you know, children get lost in the system. We are able to be accountable. We are following best practice standards, and Lucas County voters have come to expect that, you know, and they've supported us tremendously over the years. You know, they've said yes to every levy request since 1967. So yes, we understand that voters are really pushed financially. I know what the price of a gallon of milk sure is.
Yeah.
But we really need their help because the children in our community need to be
does this
safe.
ever get better? Does this kind of request ever go away? So it's never.
It's never. We try to do our jobs better. We try to do our jobs more efficiently. I mean, the things that we're doing today that we've never been able to do 5, 10, 15 years ago in terms of technology and record keeping and knowing what's going on with kids. We do everything we can to be more efficient at that. We have folks who are coming up with new strategies to, spread the casework load across fewer people. But the bottom line is that child abuse doesn't go away. And we have to be there. We are mandated by law to be there. We can't be like another service provider who might say, well, you can go on a waiting list and maybe in 3 months
Because you're not allowed to have waiting lists.
We are not allowed to have a waiting list. If a child is believed to have been abused or neglected, we have to respond immediately.
We've got just a couple seconds left, but you've seen an increase in the amount of cases that you have because of the heroin epidemic. Are the cases becoming more complex?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. When people are dealing with addiction, there's other things that come with it: homelessness, domestic violence, just overall family stability, taxing of resources. So that all comes along with it. Another thing that we can't forget about too is we're seeing more children with much more demanding needs. We've never had as many children in institutional care as we do right now, and we're talking with children with very far on the autism spectrum, with behavioral mental health needs. And instead of us being able to care for these children in foster homes, we are actually having to use institutional services, which we don't like to do. Kids belong in homes, but these children need care that costs hundreds of dollars a day. So if you can imagine, we'll spend more than $2.3 million a year just in children in institutional care this year.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing this information with us. I'm always excited and happy to have you guys on. You do such good work.
Well, thank you very much.
Appreciate your spending time with us this morning. We will give you the contact information if you, there it is right now. They're so good back there. There's the contact information for Julie and the committee that's actually managing the levy.
Correct.
Please make use of this, get involved. It's really important that you do so. Don't go away. We're going to talk about a new TPS approach to learning. We'll be right back.